news outlets and false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets. Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
Former President Donald Trump has now posted on Truth Social this morning that he will be arrested Tuesday of next week. He called the Manhattan District Attorney's Office highly political and called for protests to, quote, take our nation back. I want to note we have not heard from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office yet on this. Again, this Truth Social post by Donald Trump was just done this morning, and we're actually working on getting that post up for you right now, but I would emphasize that what the president or the former President Trump has said is that according to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office with leaks from that office, he is now claiming that the former president of the United States of America, oddly again referring to himself in the third person, will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Now, here's what's really disturbing about his post as well. He says, quote, protest, comma, take our nation back. Considering what happened on January 6th at the United States Capitol, that obviously gives some rise for concerns. But Donald Trump now, in his own words, posting on Truth Social that he expects to be arrested on Tuesday of next week, which is just in a few days. Again, this is breaking news that has just occurred.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Donald Trump, the actor slash president, because that's what he is, an actor, who is doing his job to keep the country divided. That is the point, between the left and the right. Donald Trump has called on his followers to protest, claiming he will be arrested on Tuesday. So just like with January 6th, we heard all the buildup surrounding January 6th and, of course, the protests, which, again, were all staged by our government. What they do is they create these false flags, they create these psychological operations, then they get people to join in on them. That's what they do. They put agents in place, FBI agents, CIA agents. Obviously, if you looked at the January 6th footage, you could clearly see people scaling the walls. I don't think your next door neighbor can scale walls. Obviously, it's somebody with either black ops training or just somebody who is a military, an agent in our government, I should say. So now we're seeing Trump calling on protests. And of course, this is going to continue the left-right divide. It's been quite some time since they've riled people up again. And after releasing the January 6th footage, all the nonsense that we're hearing going back and forth about, they were saying it wasn't as violent as they claimed the right was saying, and the left was saying this. All these things are psyops. This is to rile and divide. Remember, order out of chaos, divide and conquer. That's what these mottos are. And you're seeing them acted out in real time now. So Trump, while we have this narrative about him calling on protests, we have a few other narratives with Trump, and you could see where this is going if you look at this stuff and you step back and you don't let yourself get emotional.
Sorry guys, the thing was on.
Involved.
See if I can block some of these coming up.
All of these guys are working together. Obviously, the people in power now couldn't be more incompetent, but that's being done on purpose. The design here is to destroy capitalism, to destroy the government set up the way it is. For them to say the American experiment has failed, we need to go a different route. Of course, that's going to be communism, but they'll call it something completely different. But it's going to be total government control. So Trump on Saturday called on his supporters to protest as he expects to be handed an unprecedented criminal charge over his handling of hush money payment during the 2016 presidential campaign. He said, "Protests take our nation back." He tweeted on his Truth Social platform, which has anyone tried that out? Truth Social? I didn't even know that was still a thing. I thought he was back on Twitter. I guess not. So Trump provided no clear basis for his expected arrest beyond citing what he called illegal leaks about the ongoing investigation. So, like I said, they do this so that they can create these psychological operations. These are all false flag events. There will probably be some type of violence. There'll be some like BLM thing. People will come out and say, oh, we have extremists. They want to continue to build that narrative that people who are quote unquote conspiracy theorists or conservatives are terrorists. That's the narrative they're trying to build. Now, the other thing that comes with this is a video I did a week or two ago, which of course is no longer on YouTube. I believe it's on my Rumble channel, but where Trump was coming out talking about freedom cities. Because remember, they're going to be luring people into smart cities and freedom cities. This is to herd them. They're going to tell you in the freedom cities that you don't have to be vaccinated. You could still own a gun. They'll create psyop after psyop in these freedom cities. And then, of course, all the cupcake wussy pansies who are liberal will be put into their echo chamber cities where they're hooked up to the internet literally through their bodies. That's how it's going to work. They know that they have to divide North America into two separate parties. So this is Trump talking about, not parties, excuse me, two separate countries. This is Trump talking about the freedom cities.
Past generations of Americans pursued big dreams and daring projects that once seemed absolutely impossible. They pushed across an unsettled continent and built new cities in the wild frontier. They transformed American life with the interstate highway system. Magnificent it was. And they launched a vast network of satellites into orbit all around the earth. But today, our country has lost its boldness. Under my leadership, we will get it back in a very big way. If you look at just 3 years ago, what we were doing was unthinkable. How good it was, how great it was for our country. Our objective will be a quantum leap in the American standard of living. That's what will happen. Here are just a few of the ways we can do it. Almost 1/3 of the land mass of the United States is owned by the federal government, with just a very, very small portion of that land, just a fraction, 1/2 of 1%. Would you believe that? We should hold a contest to charter up to 10 new cities and award them to the best proposals for development. In other words, we'll actually build new cities in our country again. These freedom cities will reopen the frontier, reignite American imagination, and give hundreds of thousands of young people and other people, all hardworking families, a new shot at home ownership and, in fact, the American dream. Another big opportunity is in transportation. Dozens of major companies in the United States and China are racing to develop vertical takeoff and landing vehicles for families and individuals. Just as the United States led the automotive revolution in the last century, I want to ensure that America, not China, leads this revolution in air mobility. These breakthroughs can transform commerce, bring a giant infusion of wealth into rural America, and connect families in our country in new ways. Likewise, through our Strategic National Manufacturing Initiative, which is going to be very big and very, very successful, we will turn forgotten communities into hives of industry, producing the goods we will no longer import from China. We will also have a major initiative on lowering the cost of living with a special focus on lowering the cost of a new car and lowering the cost to build a single-family home. And they will be beautiful homes. And I will ask Congress to support baby bonuses for young parents to help launch a new baby boom. Finally, I'll challenge the governors of all 50 states to join me in a great modernization and beautification campaign, getting rid of ugly buildings, refurbishing our parks and our public spaces, making cities and towns more livable, ensuring a pristine environment, and building towering monuments to our true American heroes. Very importantly, I will also make sure all of these new places are safe. We love and cherish our police. They will do the job the way they have to. It is time to start talking about greatness for our country again. I will dramatically increase living standards and build a future that brings our country together through excitement, opportunity, and success. Thank you very much.
And again, what does all this lead towards? Look at all the narratives that are out there. Is anyone paying attention to the Idaho expansion? You probably haven't even heard about it because the mainstream media really hasn't covered it. But there's a campaign to have rural eastern Oregon secede from the blue state and join more conservative Idaho. So they're trying to expand Idaho. Now remember, when all this stuff goes down, there's going to be, I believe at least, there's going to be red territories and blue territories. They're going to herd people into these areas. Obviously, they're going to use things like HARP all over the blue territory, all over the red territories and just drill them. The people in the blue territories are obviously going to go along with whatever the government says because they're communists. They worship government. Government can tell them to put heroin, in their butt cheeks, and they will do it. They will do whatever they're told. We obviously have seen that recently with the amount of graphene that they put in their bodies. Oops, sorry. Did I let the cat out of the bag? I guess they're not familiar yet with what's going on because to them, everything's a conspiracy theory, everything that speaks against government. I'm just trying my best to make sure people don't get sucked into government, realizing that the right is just as much of a trap as the left. That's the problem that we're facing. We wouldn't have this if, they wouldn't be getting away with this if they didn't create this surface level division between Americans, which is left versus right. So Trump doing this and riling people up, obviously this is being done on purpose, right? Because everything we've heard with January 6th, Trump, coming out and tweeting for people to protest and come and make sure he doesn't get arrested, that it's a crime that they're doing this to him, and they haven't done this stuff to Hunter Biden. This is the narrative they want you sucked inside of. So don't think for 1 second that they won't create a psyop out of this, because that's clearly what the plan is. Now, how bad it is, I don't know. What ends up happening, I don't know, but you could clearly see that they're creating an event here with him even tweeting that out. Him knowing ahead of time that he's getting arrested on Tuesday, not Monday, Tuesday. Huh? I mean, what, they give him a heads up? Oh, okay. See, the QAnon people believe whatever Trump says. They're no different than the liberals who believe everything that Big Brother government says. They're the same thing. They're pretty much have a communist mentality instead of having a mentality of, not getting involved in the parties and thinking that you're a part of the party, like you're a part of a team, when you're not a part of a team. The people in control of the Republican Party are all controlled. DeSantis, all these guys that you hear on TV, they might say things that you like to hear, but that's the point, to hurt you, right? And obviously all of us, look, I don't know the majority of the people listening to my channel if you believe in politics. I know actually I do know a good portion don't, but new people do come to the channel here and there. So there's some people who actually still believe in that stuff, but they don't realize that all these guys are just actors put in place. It is a herd mentality, okay? Hurting the left, hurting the right. It works both ways. And the end game is the same. So they keep everybody divided. They keep everybody trapped. Everybody thinks that they're a part of something. And then again, they use these talking points where, of course, we would all lean conservative if it was real because the liberals are complete lunatics. They're completely insane. They think men can have babies. The stuff that comes out of their mouth, you literally would think that they were coming from people in padded rooms. That's how insane they are. It's amazing how warped it is. Pronouns and all this stuff. It's unbelievable. So obviously I would lean Republican. But we all realize that this whole thing is a trap, or we should realize that. Right? That the government, the way it was set up, it does work if the people in the positions of power actually were real independent people like Joe Blow up the street if he decided to run for president. The only people who could run for office, for president and governor, are millionaires, right? How convenient. These people are supposed to be making like $250,000, $300,000. I think the president's supposed to make $450,000 a year. Yet, Obama and these guys have 10 homes. They have homes in Martha's Vineyard, etc. And nobody's suspicious where all this money comes from, the Pelosi's, etc. Right? These people are not regular people who are elected. Money means nothing to them. Control is all that matters. And this is going to be a psychological op unless it gets dropped. I wanted to cover it because, as soon as I hear stuff like this, I know exactly what they're doing, what they're trying to do. And it's been a while since they've created, they need a massive left-right false flag. Because they have to constantly push this to keep everybody angry at one another. The more angry people are at one another, the more division that they can cause, the faster they can get to Agenda 2030, which, as we all know, is now Agenda 2025. So keep an eye on the Idaho expansion as well, because they're going to start moving state lines and making larger territories. And take, that's not fair that people in, Oregon don't want any part of what's going on in Oregon because Oregon is a complete nightmare. But you don't think the liberals are doing that on purpose? California, Oregon, they have drug addicts laying in the streets. They literally are showing on the news people shooting up on crack and fentanyl and everything else. Wouldn't the police come and arrest these people? Wouldn't the governors, try not to have that stuff make the national news? They want it to make the national news. They're trying to make people flee from certain areas into new areas, right? The same thing with Roe v. Wade. They want to make it so that, oh, well, you can get an abortion in these blue states, so that'll make more people move to those states. And then the red states, people go, I don't want to live there. They don't believe in women's rights, right? Same with gun laws, all these things. They're hurting people based on these things. And they're going to get them into freedom cities, and they're going to get them into smart cities. The difference is there'll be different rules in each, because obviously they know that Republicans and conservatives are not going to give up their guns at all. So they need to trick them into being a part of these freedom cities where they'll be like, hey, there's no vaccine mandates here. You can own your gun. It's great. There's no lunatic liberals trying to get into your schools. Why do you think they're doing all of this stuff? Why do you think they have the trans people going to public libraries and schools and going after kids? So then people go, oh, you know what? These are states that'll outlaw that. I don't want to have to worry about that, disgusting perversion, the perverse crap that they're doing. Yeah, well, in these states, they won't do that. It won't be allowed. Oh, kind of like how they herded everyone into the honeypot that is Florida, right? So you'll have territories that are red, you'll have territories that are blue. That's my take on it, at least. You don't have to agree with it. But that's what I see from all these narratives out there. We see expansions. We see states, obviously states are going to have their own rules, but we've never had a time period where it's like, oh, well, in this state, you have to be vaccinated to have a job, huh? Or you have to have this to be in this state. Oh, this state won't allow women to murder their babies. Oh, so I don't want to be in that state. Oh, this state doesn't want to have trannies in the libraries talking to their 5-year-olds about gender. Oh, okay, well, I don't want to be near that, so I'm going to go to a red state. Hurt them, keep them, there'll be their own set of rules, of course, but it'll be an illusion. It's still going to be an illusion of freedom, okay? And Trump is going to be one of the people, obviously DeSantis is another one, who are going to start hurting them into these spots, how they want them. And then they turn into sitting ducks. Because in these freedom cities, they are going to create so many psychological ops, right? They're going to play them on the news and be like, oh, in a red territory, there's gun violence, and then the other side will be more content to stay in their smart city cells, right? They'll go back and forth, keep everyone divided. And of course, they'll be drilling these red states probably with HARP, with all sorts of weapons that people, invisible weapons, silent warfare. That's what they do. So again, Trump is out there. People think that this is like, oh, he's defending himself out there. He's tweeting even after the insurrection. He wouldn't have the common sense, if that was actually real, which it wasn't, which was made up by the government, that he wouldn't have the common sense to say, oh, I shouldn't tweet anything about going and protesting after that, right? Especially if I'm about to get arrested. Oh, but of course he does. How convenient. So he gets his people riled up, right? Then they could create false flags and psyops. It's basic 101, mind control 101. That's what you're seeing going on here. So don't fall for the traps. Now, do I know for 100% something will happen on Tuesday? No, but the narratives are out there, and they're going to continue doing this. And the smart cities and all these things all tie into this divide that they're creating. And Trump is the spokesman for it. He's the face of it. And then the liberal lunacy on the other side makes more and more people like Trump and support Trump. That's how it works. You think these people on the left, they obviously have, I'd like to think they have no self-awareness, but you couldn't be more insane than these people are. Falling upstairs, Biden's, speaking, making no sense. You got the vice president who's a lunatic. You have all these people, all these characters. They don't answer questions. The press secretary only hired because she's gay, right? I mean, it's all insane stuff, but it's insane on purpose. Reminder, check out the website at callforanuprising.com. I hope to see more people over there. It really helps support the channel, especially since this channel is demonetized and it is shadow banned. I'm continuing to upload here because I don't have the time or the energy to continue to build out channels. I am building out another channel, but it's going to take me some time. So if you want to subscribe to that, it is in the description section below. Don't worry about the content that's over there. That's how I get around the algorithm in the beginning, because you have to go through an approval process. It's absolutely ridiculous. I remember the days you could have 10 channels and upload and immediately be monetized, but that's what they do now, and that's any channel that's not in the YouTube Partner Program does get shadow banned, and that's why this channel hasn't grown. It had 500,000 plus subs year one, and now we're looking 6 years later, it's still around the same amount, and that's not what this is about, obviously, but those are ways you can help support the channel. Patreon as well, and again, just thumbsing up the videos and sharing them with people, because that's obviously the most important thing, is getting this content out there if you think it's important. So I thank everyone for being here. Hope you're doing well. God bless all of you and your families.